G'day guys, how's it going? I'm Aaron Whitnall, this is ACW Sport, and we finally know who the first four quarterfinalists are going to be for this season's Champions League. It's Real Madrid, Juventus, Liverpool and Manchester City. They knocked out PSG, Basel, Porto and Tottenham respectively. And of course there is only one place to start, and that is with what was the biggest tie of the round, Real Madrid versus PSG. And when you consider how much money PSG have spent to try and win the Champions League, and the fact that they still haven't been successful, going out to another Spanish giants for the second year in a row, it's kind of laughable now. They've spent over £1 billion, 400 million in the summer alone, and they still can't win the competition. It's absolutely amazing, especially when you consider the season Real Madrid were having, how good PSG have been in the group stage. You would have expected them to perform so much better than what they did, but they seemed so deflated in both ties compared to performances we've seen them put in. And yeah, it was kind of laughable in the end, really, from them. But as for Real Madrid, a fantastic result. And despite the poor season they've had, I've always said you can never count them off in the Champions League, because at the end of the day, this is their competition. They've won it 12 times, more than anyone else by a landslide. And when you've, of course, got players like Cristiano Ronaldo in your team, you always stand a chance of upsetting the favourites, which PSG were. Speaking of Ronaldo, he's now scored a goal in every single game in the tournament so far. He's just absolutely incredible. As we know, I'm kind of running out of words to say about him, really. But, you know, just like the other teams that are in the quarterfinals, you can't write Real Madrid off from potentially winning the competition this year, because they've got so much experience. They are, of course, the holders, and you wouldn't put it past them to win the competition yet again, even though they're not doing too well in the league. But yeah, great result for Real Madrid, but more bitter disappointment for PSG. As for Tottenham, they become the first English team to be knocked out of the competition at the hands of Juventus, which is such a shame, because over the two legs, Tottenham, for me, deserved to win. They were much better last night. All right, they faded in the second half, and that ultimately was their downfall. But Juventus went through by basically putting in the most Italian display you've ever seen in the Champions League. Because, yeah, all right, don't get me wrong, Juve have got a good defence, and Chiellini was awesome in ways, but at the same time, and Buffon as well, but at the same time, like, the defence wasn't that great. It's almost like the Italians seem to put up this very annoying barrier around the goal, where it's like, you're going to get through us, you just can't get the ball in the back of the net, because there were times where Kane got through, there were times where Son got through, and yes, all right, Tottenham did take the lead, and they deserved that lead, because they were putting Juve under so much pressure. But it's like Chiellini said in his interview afterwards, at half-time, Juve, they kind of regrouped, they said to themselves, let's keep calm, and opportunities will come. And when you've got Higuain, an £80 million striker, and Dybala, one of the hottest players in world football, and you can see why people say he's in the same kind of level as Neymar, because all he needs is that moment of magic. And it was two moments that literally tore Tottenham's Champions League season apart. The first goal, all right, very unlucky. It was just, you know, the fact Higuain put out a foot, but that's a striker's goal for you. Dybala, though, when he was put through clear by Higuain, it was a wonderful finish. And you can see why there's talk of him, you know, being sold in the summer for up to 200 million. But yeah, very Italian performance from Juventus. Bitterly disappointing for Tottenham. However, you feel that if they can keep this squad together, if they can win some silverware in the FA Cup this year, I believe they'll keep all their superstars together, and I reckon they'll have a much better go at things next year. For me, I would have liked to have seen the likes of Lucas Moura brought on late on. I thought he would have been able to really make a difference in a way that Lamela, for me, he's still finding his feet after what was a very, very long layoff. And yeah, he's shown glimpses of brilliance, but for me, Moura is someone who has got Champions League experience, got more international experience. He's used to playing in the big occasions, and I think he could have been someone that was more of an impact sub than Lamela was. But that's just my personal opinion on that. But yeah, bitterly disappointing for Spurs. And then Liverpool, they drew 0-0 at home to Porto, but they won 5-0 in the first leg anyway. Sadio Mane coming closest out of the two sides when he hit the inside of the post. But aside from that, there's not really too much to say about the game. It was just a fairly easy stroll in the park for Liverpool, and I'm looking forward to seeing who they draw, because again, with the attack they have, Mo Salah, Mane, Firmino, and the fact they've really started to solidify their defence since Van Dijk's come in, and the fact Klavan, the goalkeeper, is in good form as well. Yeah, it just gives you a good. Karius. It gives you a good sense that Liverpool could do something special this season in the Champions League. And then Manchester City, just to finish things off, they were pretty much already through as well. They scored 4 away goals in Basel. All right, they lost 2-1 at home to Basel last night, but they didn't play their strongest team ever. It was good to see Gabriel Jesus back on the playing field properly and scoring as well. He's such a good finisher. And of course, the highlight for me was the fact that Phil Foden became the youngest English player in history to play in the Champions League, which is absolutely awesome. But yeah, two very easy games for those two sides, and I just can't wait to see who those two get in the next round. Of course, that's pretty much everything I've got to say about this week's Champions League fixtures. Don't forget to keep an eye out for my Premier League predictions for this coming weekend. And of course, next week I'll be back with my Champions League predictions and reviews for the rest of the last 16 ties. So keep your eyes peeled for that. In the meantime, have a great week. As always, I'm Aaron Whitnall. You've been watching ACW Sport. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys again soon.